it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhaled frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great.
Just not cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer-mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
We're back. Yeah. Wait till they get a load of me. Welcome back. It's Toker Talk Radio. It's July, and we had a good vacation week. I had a good vacation week. Did you have a good vacation week?
Typical vacation week for me. Just sitting around doing nothing.
All right. Well, there you go.
I was bored. Had no show to produce.
No show. It is weird too. Sometimes thinking of taking a vacation from what we do, since we love it so much.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
tough.
Great job.
Yeah. The pay sucks. The hours are lousy.
Fringe benefits kick ass.
Yeah, benefits kick ass.
But
you meet a lot of interesting people.
It's necessary. And generally, I will take a week off around the 4th of July and a week off around Christmas. That's the general rule. But the rules are always subject to interpretation and change at my whim.
Yeah, and at my access to the studio.
That's right. Also, there's all sorts of things we have to deal with. Hey, we did do some redesign on the front page of 420 Radio. If you're missing the pop-up link, all you got to do is click that button that says Connect to 420 Radio. Or you know what? Maybe I'll change the name of that button to 420 Radio Pop-Ups. Something.
Yeah.
But it's in the top right corner. Click it. You'll find the link. It'll be fine. Trying to maximize it more for the ability to get, on-the-spot donations. There's a donate button now in the top left corner, and it's a fill in your own amount, right? So you can donate, put in whatever you want to donate, and it goes right to 420 Radio. That would be a big help if you would do that, or become a VIP member of 420 Radio. Just click on VIP membership. You can see the different levels from $4.20 a month all the way to the platinum level at $142 a month. And at gold and platinum, that's almost like business levels. Like if you got a business, we'll find a way to advertise you. If you become a gold or a platinum, we'll give you a radio ad. We'll put you banner ads.
Yeah, the other thing. We are now a proud 501c4 nonprofit
under Oregon. We're official in Oregon now.
In Oregon,
still waiting for the federal.
Well, that means that you can donate to the station for advertising.
Yes.
and write that off.
Right. If you are advertising, it's a business expense, and then you can write that off.
Yeah.
So, so talk to your accountant about it, and we would love to have some more supporters, get the budget going here. Going to be working with a new marketing professional to help us get more distribution and promotions, and things are really taking off. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I think we need, right now is the time, this next year here is going to be the time when we need the most support, just because of what we what we're able to do. Where we're able to go is really dependent on our viewers. And, we really appreciate everything you guys have put forward so far. We just do need something, some people to pony up a little bit more, but great thanks to everybody, you know who you are. So.
And on that segue, I can deliver the somewhat bad, not unexpected, and not totally bad news. The effing Normal tour is canceled. Yeah, actually, it's weird to say canceled because it never really started. But the tour is canceled. They're not going to try to put the tour together. It's just not happening. So the money that we raised for the tour should be coming back to 420 Radio. We shall see how that works out. If our donor who donated to the tour would instead like to donate to 420 Radio,
that donation, that would be highly, pardon the pun, appreciated.
Yes, because there's a couple things we need. We need a digital video camera. One of the things I found out the past couple remote gigs I've done with this laptop's fine, but the USB is not so stable.
Yeah, and the cameras, unfortunately, and they don't work properly unless you're using a powered, USB hub, and then even then, it's so wonky.
Even then, it's janky.
This equipment,
but we got FireWire on this machine, and I used to have a digital video camera that I used. And what's nice about it's got zoom and everything and remote control. I lost it. It got stolen when I was on an Amtrak train.
Yeah, the little camera bag got snagged.
Yeah, so we're going to get that. Once we get a DV cam, that'll help us a lot on our remote gigs. And maybe we get two with a hub or something, and we have multiple shots. That would be awesome. So we're going to work on that, continue to bring you the best streaming we can. The other thing that we need a little bit of funding to produce is the Shoutcast server. We need an audio streaming server. Right now we're streaming to Ustream, which is great for this free video and everything. But once we have the audio server, we can stream just an audio feed that can then be picked up by TuneIn Radio, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, and lots of other sorts of devices and stuff. So we're going to work on that, but we're going to need some support for that as well. So looking forward to getting more donations, more members. Tell your friends. Let them know about 420 Radio, 24-hour marijuana legalization radio by, for, and about the cannabis community. We got to take a break. When we come back, we are going to talk more about the state of Oregon, laws that have just passed here, and will Brian the Red become a dispensary consultant?
Ooh,
stick around.
We'll see.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisements because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Cast your eyes up to the skies. What is it to live and die?
The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the only way to honor the Constitution that recognizes our natural rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak to my attorney, Omar Figueroa. Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at www.omarfigueroa.com.
Γιατί ρωτάτε να σας πω, αφού σας είναι πια γνωστό, όταν συμβεί στα Φέριξ φωτιές να καίνε, πίνουν οι μάγκες αργιλές.
Welcome back, everybody. Where else the 420 Radio are you going to get a song in Greek about getting high from 1946?
It's beautiful. Takes me back to the old country.
That's right. The Point of Getting High by Stratos Peyoumoutsis and Stelios, I can't read the rest, Stelios Karomaitis.
Karomaitis. Stelios.
Some fine Greek lads.
Yes. Good music. Toker Talk Radio here on 420radio.org. We got Brian the Red here and Radical Russ.
Yep.
We're just hanging.
Phone number is 971-533-7111. We're 10 minutes away from 420, maybe a little less. And we're glad that you can join us. We're pretty excited about the dispensary bill that had passed. 3460, I think, is the number.
Yep. Or 3460 or 3640.
Something like that.
Yeah, anyway.
Dispensary bill. And all sorts of rules on it. I mean,
I need to get a copy of that stuff as soon as I can.
The dispensaries can't be within 1,000 feet of school. Mm-hmm. Can't be within 1,000 feet of each other.
Mm-hmm. Now that's something that wasn't really addressed before. Because when we had that gray area, we had all these places setting up. They didn't really check to see if they were within 1,000 feet of each other. So I saw a couple that, like on the same block.
Oh, yeah.
And, and just because it's not illegal doesn't mean that they're not doing it. Like they said in that article, the cops here in Oregon have, well, at least in Multnomah County, have basically looked the other way when it comes to these safe access points, as we in the medical community like to call them.
And it seems to me that, I'm just reading up here on Sam Chapman with Oregonians for Medical Rights. He's been a guest on the show.
Big kudos to Sam, man. Yeah. And Jim Greig also.
Doing great work on lobbying on this. Now, there's going to be 9 months of the process to draft the rules. By March 2014 is when these things are, going to be in place. There's going to be rules on testing and security and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because they have to, one of the guidelines is they have to be given the cannabis from a legally registered medical grow site that the patient has signed off saying that their excess can be distributed. So,
yep.
And that's a big thing because it's going to help keep a lot of those cartel-style mega grows that are out in the wilderness from being able to push their product into a medical community where the potency and the clarity, cleanliness of the environment in which it's produced is a key factor in the effectiveness of the medicine. So, and also that kind of brings me into the testing area. I've got a friend out there named Charlie, and he has been doing some strain reviews for a couple of different growers, including our good friend Subcool. And he's helping also with the local testing lab, and they've got some really great information in their reports. You can see so many different cannabinoids and all the terpene structure. Great testing. So I've been in the talks of having a segment where Charlie, and whatever grower of the strain he's evaluating are going to be on the show talking about it. So
gonna be awesome.
Yeah, we got big things in the works, and like he had this one strain that he was testing. Said didn't really do nothing for him. It was called Duck's Foot, and I was like, well, mind if I try it? And it really blew me away. The amount of focus that it gave me, and the because I suffer from like ADD and OCD and a bunch of other alphabet soup up there in the head, but it helped clear me up and get me focused and alert, and so just seeing the cannabinoid structure, I could see that it was pretty high in CBC, cannabichromine, well, at least one of them, and that's just from the medical aspect of it, which I've always been an advocate. It's really great to see that the people are focusing on these different cannabinoid structures for the baseline of their grows, so that they can work with specifically MS patients, specifically Crohn's patients, specifically whatever condition that they've got their patients working with. And like I've had some patients say that, oh yeah, the blue strains really do good for my pain and stuff. So just the being able to track this, which we haven't been able to do for so many years, it's really going to progress so quickly. People don't realize how fast it's going to go.
Yeah.
Because the people working at these labs, they've been doing this kind of testing, but on other stuff their whole lives. They never even thought about testing, using this method on cannabis until they were in the situation. And, lo and behold, they're the best people for it. Even if they're not cannabis consumers themselves, they're doing a great service. So kudos to all of the testing labs and all the scientists and doctors, such as Dr. Mitch Earlywine, who's on our show earlier today, and everybody really out there who's trying to further the knowledge of this plant, because knowledge is power, but only when it's utilized.
This has been a banner year so far, and the year's not even over yet, for reform in the state of Oregon. And we covered some of these laws that have changed, but the guys out at the Joint blog also covered this. They point out that there's been great reforms that have happened already. Colorado, got its regulation and taxation system up in place. Illinois and New Hampshire have approved medical bills. Of course, they're both no home grow bills and very restrictive, but it's a move forward. Vermont decriminalized, so we added another decrim state. Nevada voted for dispensaries, so they'll finally have dispensaries. But they're saying the winner by far this year is Oregon in all the reforms. Now again, we got Senate Bill 40 taking away the whole driver's license suspension on a pot ticket, which is great because we already had decrim, but you got your driver's license suspended even if you weren't in a car, even if you weren't driving. Right? Even if you don't drive a car, right? Well, that's gone now. No more driver's license suspension. We got possession of up to a quarter pound down to a misdemeanor. Now, right north of us in Washington State, where an ounce is legal, possession of an ounce and a half is a felony. So it's actually more legal or less penalized to have a lot of marijuana in Oregon than in Washington State where it's legal.
I think that they know here that people are more likely to have a lot of marijuana than a little marijuana.
This is an 1/8 ounce of marijuana, or as we in Oregon call it, out of marijuana.
Yes, one joint left.
Running out. That's Senate Bill 40. Senate Bill 82, possession of an ounce. Also, the reduction in the felony penalties for cultivation and possession of more than a quarter pound, and our dispensary bill 3460, and post-traumatic stress disorder got added.
Woo.
And one thing we didn't mention in the earlier story, we had a measure to explicitly legalize marijuana that got out of the House Judiciary Committee. Now, it hasn't gone any further, but it actually got out of committee. We had a Judiciary Committee said, yep, we got to just legalize marijuana. And we now have 2 initiatives filed for 2014. One's a constitutional amendment, one's just statutory for 2014. It's the Octa 12, Rocky's Revenge. I don't know how many Octas there's been. But at least in this one, it sets limits for possession and cultivation that match what the medical limits are. So I think the voters will be able to buy that a little better. They made some changes, I believe, in that whole pot commission being appointed versus voted or whatever. So that'll fix some of the problems. I still see in it, though, that language that says that all seeds and starts are considered hemp, and hemp is unregulated. And that says to me that a 12-year-old could buy a clone. So I still have a problem with that language, but...
Well, it depends. We'll really have to see how they look at it once, because they can always... put it through House or something and amend that.
Yeah.
Just immediately.
I would. I would amend that. But I understand the point is to try to, invigorate the hemp market and keep hemp as an unregulated thing. Mm-hmm. And I think you can do that without saying all seeds and starts are hemp.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be specifically written in. It can remain a gray area for a while.
Yeah. All right. So we got that to talk about. Also coming up when we come back from break, we've got more to talk about on the regulations in Colorado that have just passed for recreational. And we'll talk more about those hash oil explosions, seeing as the 710 Cup's coming up. Stick around. Speaking of hash.
Hey, we all know what that sound means.
It's 420 here in the Great Pacific Northwest.
And on 420radio.org. So, light up if you got it.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
You know Herb Thrasher from the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Now get ready for Herb Age Designs for the proud cannabis consumer. Herb Age Designs, lifestyle gear for the 420 friendly. Herb Age Designs, home of the famous lighter leash. Herb Age Designs, get your Herb Age t-shirts and hoodies and show your pride. Herb Age Designs, we've got frisbee golf discs and durable hemp gear. Herb Age Designs, we've got shot glasses, drinking glasses, coffee mugs, and beer cozies. Check us out on Facebook and online at herbagedesigns.com. And follow Herb Age and Herb Thrasher on Twitter. We'll see you at this year's Hemp Fest. Crank it up!
You still don't get it, do you? Alright, let me make this as clear as I possibly can. This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Oh yeah, Dixie Witch, let it roll. It's the kind of stuff you'll find every Friday night on Herb Thrasher's Flower Hour. And once again, big props to Herb for letting us set up here, Rollatide Studios, you know, because that's just how we back each other up. Little tiny things that help the cannabis community as a whole, you know, and so big props to him. And if you haven't tuned into one of his shows, you should, because he plays all sorts of stuff. If it's fast, then it's rock to him. You know, he plays the hellbilly, country, you know, if it's guitar and it's fast, you know, even like banjo and blues stuff.
Yeah.
Frickin'.
Check it out, Friday nights.
Yep.
We'll be here. Hey, big thanks to Bong Hitter in the chat room who's saying, dude, if you need help with the Shoutcast stuff, he's ready to go with it. Here, I'll just tell you what the problem is like I went out to, I think it was TuneInRadio.com, and they got a little link where broadcasters can submit their radio streams, right, to be on live on this app. And it was asking for a URL for such a thing. And I just stared at it in blank bemusement, because that was where I was stuck. So yeah, if you got help for me to take this audio that is happening now and make it so that it appears on those platforms, that's the kind of help I need. I need to get on TuneIn, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio.
And if there's a way to make it like a Linux operating system that's just, you turn it on and it goes,
yeah,
that would be even better.
Because that's all it needs to run.
That's the only thing it needs to do.
The only thing it needs to do is
and
take
we've got
this
hardware.
We've got hardware.
Just, you know, make me an install disk.
All right, so this week, but hit me up an email, by the way, russ@radicalruss.com. That's, if it doesn't hit my email, it's not really in my business mind. Mm-hmm. People hit me up on Facebook all the time. Facebook is me, my personality and stuff, but
Yeah.
You got to hit me up an email or I'll lose track of that.
In reality, it's,
it's just
not in the world of faces.
Well, and there's too much.
And there's too much.
Too much on Facebook.
And, especially when you're somebody like Russ who has 10,000 friends,
4,664.
Oh, yes, you had to do some thinning because you were nearing your 5,000 limit.
Right.
That's
right.
And the other hand,
the way I thin now is I just look at the wall, and if you have posted something that I find obnoxious or offensive,
ridiculous,
I just unfriend you. Yeah.
Be forewarned: do not post kittens, moths, or monkeys.
No. Somebody passed it. Definitely not monkeys. No, somebody had posted some racist crap, so boom, you're unfriended. Somebody posted some homophobic crap, boom, you're unfriended.
Oh yeah, no, I mean we're very tolerant of basically everybody because that's what we want. We want to be tolerated. That's all. Just leave us the fuck alone, please.
There you go. Yeah. All right, so this Wednesday is 7/10.
Yep.
I'm gonna. You know what? Remind me to send a text out to Ganja John. Maybe we can pry Ganja John out of his hibernation and out of his cave, and maybe he'll come down here and we could do a 7/10 show with Ganja John. I think that would be appropriate.
Be really cool. Yeah. Hey, maybe we can also. Well, we'll talk maybe some other people too that might be able to contribute some good information about the dabbage.
But I think there's some interesting cultural developments going on with dabbage, with the 7/10, with the errls, as it were.
You get pretty early to fool me.
I was talking to some people. We got to name names, but I was talking to some people, and they were talking about how some of these gigs now, these when they go to these cups and they go to these different competitions, and they're like staying at people's places, that there's some places where they won't let you smoke weed. You can only smoke errl.
Yeah, you can only smoke concentrates.
You can only dab
because because it doesn't have. It's just the vapor.
Yes. So there's getting to be this anti-flower snobbery that is developing amongst the oil crew.
And probably those who can afford to live in those higher, or stay in those higher priced snooty, hotels and stuff. But, but it's,
Now, that's fine. You can make up whatever rules you want for your house. My problem with it though is that they're becoming kind of a looking down one's nose, kind of that's what the old hippies used to do, or that's what, that's not, we're the new, we're the better, we're the hip.
I say it's the hipster stoner. I said this about 2.5 years ago. Well, about 2 years ago when we started getting the errls introduced. And I said, you still smoke flowers? Dude, how lame.
Exactly.
And that's the attitude.
And here's where I have a political issue with it, right? Because you can look down your nose at the flower, or you can think the oil is superior or whatever, but the problem is the mainstream society doesn't see it that way, and there's a lot more of us than there are of you. So don't try to, again, it's this whole division thing, right? It was similar with medical, when there was a certain segment of the medical community.
I was just about to say, the medical community, certain segment, they said, well, it's a medicine. It's not not a filthy drug.
And then they look down their nose at the people that are using it recreationally. And that's where I have the issue, is because the only way medical truly gets protected, and the only way concentrates get allowed to flourish, is if we win the flower battle. Yes. We got to win the battle for the flower, right? That's where you're getting your concentrates from.
Yeah,
right? And the public is much more likely to embrace the flower that they think of fondly from their, Vietnam era or 60s or 80s, whenever they smoked it.
College,
whatever. They're much more likely to support that. The vision of the peaceful guy growing a plant in his garage or his closet, much more than they're going to accept the blowtorches and the occasional exploding hotel room.
Yeah, the blowtorches really are off-putting if you don't know what the hell's going on. It's like you go into some cannabis club that deals with these higher class, quote-unquote, concentrates, and they're freaked out. They're like, well, what's all this blowtorch and shit? Because maybe they've seen a vaporizer, maybe they've seen a vapor pen or something, oil pen, but what most people are used to is just smoking, just rolling a joint, a doober up, smoking out loading a bowl, at an extreme, smoking some hash out of a hash pipe, but really it is. It's a shock factor for most of society, just because they don't realize the science behind it. I think, and how it has evolved, in a sense, from lighting a bush on fire.
Yeah. and this is becoming a political thing that we have to think about. And and I know there's a lot of people out there in the dab community that are super responsible, that are professionals, that know what they're doing, that aren't the ones that blow the things up. But what leads to the dipshit that goes and blows something up is the popularization of this being the cool thing, the next new thing, the popular, profitable thing. That's what leads the idiots. Just as, Prohibition led to the idiots with the moonshine stills that would blow themselves up. My point being, we got to get legalization to get rid of the moonshine stills. And the flower is what's going to get legalized. So don't disdain the flower. Don't look down your nose at the flower of the people that are smoking it. Understand that their victory is your victory and support it all. That's all.
And in addition, there are certain cannabinoids which don't specifically get utilized in the making of these hash oil extractions. As I was saying earlier, they've got these testing labs that show the exact profile, in bar graphs and in pie chart graph of the different levels of terpenes and cannabinoids, and smoking it is just more beneficial for some people, more relaxing, and once again, the whole aspect of using a blowtorch, a rather dangerous object to begin with, that can be stress-causing to some people, or inciting.
And that brings me to the question that John Thomas had that I couldn't get to with Dr. Mitch, where, he went and filmed the DABS panel at the Cannabis Cup for me, the Denver Cannabis Cup.
Yeah.
And he said the DABS panel unanimously agreed that the little vapor pens are dangerous. And I don't know what the reasoning was. I assume it's because they're cheaply made in China and metals will do this or that. Whatever the excuse is.
The main reasoning, that I gathered from what I could see of the DAB panel that you had recorded, was that the element that they use inside of all of the pens, unless it's a ceramic element, and this is similar with heat guns too. If you're using a heat gun vaporizer, you don't want to get a metal element. You need to get a ceramic because you can control the temperature better, stay at a lower consistent temperature, and there's no fumes. As we were talking about with Dr. Mitch during hour one, some people use a metal screen inside of their pipe, and when you heat just about any metal to a certain degree, it will give off fumes. Titanium is one of the metals that does not do this, which is why they use titanium nails in the dabbing.
Right. Now, here's my issue with that, though, is that we're really concerned about the health potentials and the harm reduction of a little vapor pen. So the alternative is we'll take this big thing, torch that's filled with butane and blast freaking nails and stuff with it.
Or propane.
Yeah. So we'll have big open flames and hot open metal things around, and that will save us from the scourge of the vapor pen.
Well, I mean, okay, science class, Bunsen burners. Come on. That's open flames. Trade school, welding classes. That's dangerous. I used to do glass blowing.
But my thing is, the thing I love about the vapor pens has nothing to do with harm reduction from the physical harm. It's from the public relations harm.
Exactly.
It's that when they see those vapor pens, I was rewatching with Kim today the Cheryl Schumann and Simi Dillon and Lindsay Reinhart on The View, and Cheryl showing the vapor pens that she had, and I'm like, that's what's going to turn the Republican women of the South, is seeing something that looks dainty and efficient and small and clean. If they see a blowtorch and that's followed up by a news story of a wall blowing out. One of these stories I've got in here was Ypsilanti, Michigan. The house blows up. Now this woman had installed a surveillance on camera for her house. And from the view, you can see this other guy's house in the top right corner of the frame. So there's this nice little thing on the local news that night and on the website for everyone to look. The video's all there to see peaceful neighborhood, nothing going on. Boom! A big explosion and the whole front of a house blown off, followed by a guy with tattered pants and blood coming out. And then the officials, of course, the story goes on, well, they were making butane hash oil. They found 3 or 4 containers of butane. They found all the materials
all this
to
plant
make
material.
And
yeah.
This is a new form of marijuana that's highly potent and made from marijuana. And boom, all our public relations trying to get marijuana legalized, trying to say, no, the weed today isn't stronger, goes right out the window when they start seeing how potent BHO is.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, see, and that's one of the faults of prohibition there.
Of course.
You know, and also I think that the main downer that the DABS panel was putting on those vapor pens was from the medical aspect of it, because most of them got involved in this, making these extracts for the medical community.
I can see that.
You know, and I'm pretty sure John had brought that up during the DAB panel. He said, hey, I'd make this because I'm a patient. I need to make sure that this is quality medicine. And, if you go to all the trouble of making good medicine, and then all of a sudden you're tainting yourself by giving yourself oxidized metal fumes,
sure.
Then, it's kind of defeating some of the hard work.
All right. Well, let's get some manufacturers out there to make the ceramic element vapor pen or whatever needs to happen.
Yes.
Because the
titanium elements,
the
optics,
takes. As the term is the optics in public. The optics of those vapor pens are awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to get concentrates accepted. Is something like that, a delivery system like that's not scary.
Yeah, it goes all back to the public view of it again. This is why I started the Pink Leaf Project. You've got to change people's idea of what the plant represents. So you've got to change the view of what everyday people perceive when they think of marijuana or smoking, or even if it's as medicine or as a recreation or as industrial, because a lot of people aren't aware there's actually 3 aspects to the plant.
And we'll talk about those aspects. We're going to take a break here in just a second, but I do want to take that conversation because it was always a tough conversation with flour to separate, oh, you're using it medically versus, oh, you want to get high. Now when we're talking about concentrates, something that are much more potent and effective for really sick people, but also much more effective and potent to get you fucked up. And how does that muddy the discussion? How does that make it more difficult to get these laws passed? How does that make the medical frame harder to stick to, or does it make it easier? We'll talk about that when we come back. We're going to take a little break, and we'll play a little bit of music, and preview the DABS issue, which seems wildly appropriate. Any excuse to have Sarah Newton on screen.
What a segue. No. We'll be back.
The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at RadicalRuss.com.
don't know anything about government. Luckily, Terry Joyce does, and she tells me what to think, say, and do. Terry Joyce was a carnival freak for years. I'm not wearing any pants, and Terry Joyce is going to fight for my right to get them back. That's why I'm asking you to watch the Hollywood Hempress Hour with Terry Joyce. Trust me, I medicate.
Yes, that's right, man.
FCM Click in the house. That's Los Marihuanos with Smoke Let's Blaze. Which reminds me, just on a tangent here, I've been spending more time on Facebook lately because it's just become inevitable. There's just it's like a separate internet, really.
Well, yeah, it's like Twitter. These social media networks have their own set of people and set of circumstances.
Yeah, and I'm just getting so many communications and so much information out of it now that I'm kind of relegated to being there on the Facebook.
You've stepped away from the dark side of Facebook. You found the light.
I guess. But I know when I get on there, and as soon as people see what I was told was a green dot beside my name.
Mm-hmm, yeah, the chat feature.
I get like 6, 7, 8, 9 people chatting with me, and it's kind of fun because they're all over the country, all over the world, and I talk to them in little short bursts, and so it's been all right. But one of the other things I've noticed on the Facebook, and this is kind of dovetails into the whole pruning friends for racism and all sorts of stuff, is that the shit talking on Facebook is hilarious.
Oh, don't you?
And it's I bring it up in reference to this song because there was somebody was shit talking Ponyboy about something. I don't know what it was, but it's all that melodrama stuff. Oh, this person's a narc. Oh, that person's a narc. Oh, that person, fuck you, man. It's just hilarious, and I don't know why I brought it up. It was just knock it off. It's ridiculous.
You can insta-meme anybody.
So we were going to bring this back in on Concentrate since we're approaching 710, and the 710 cup. And one of the things I like about this 710 cup is, at least this is my interpretation, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I got some Denver listeners out there. My interpretation is that this is about getting fucked up. That this is a recreational, hot damn, we like to party, and oil is kick-ass.
Oh, hell yeah. That's what I would see it as, because, seriously, when we were down there in Colorado for the Aspen Normal Legal Seminar, just the level of freedom and, enjoyment, just sheerly by the fact that you didn't have to look over your shoulder when you did any damn thing. Or when you were talking to anybody about cannabis, you didn't have to wonder, oh, what is this person, gonna take this information and go use it against me? Or are they all of a sudden gonna, say, oh, well, they do this up there, and, then I'll be screwed. Well,
it doesn't matter. Yeah. And the aspect to me though, is that, well, hold on. I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought. I was going to go with, where were we starting on this, before you took it into there? God.
Anyway. 710, it being 710 cup being a recreational cup.
Okay, thank you. All right. So the thing I like about this being the recreational cup is because it gets to be too much burden to have to maintain a straight face and use the word medical around the word cup. And I'm not, and this is not to say, and every time I get in this discussion, somebody's like, it is medical, all use is medical, whatever. Okay, fine. What I'm trying to say, though, is there are no insulin cups. There are no OxyContin cups. There are no aloe vera cups, right? It's only cannabis for which there is a medicine we have a cup about. And we're not, and the cups here, this is the thing is some in the medical community try to say it's a medicine that can also be recreational. I like to say it's recreation that can also be medical. I think the recreational aspect of it is always bigger than the medical aspects of it, and always will be. That marijuana may be one of those things for which it is its own category. You can't just call it medicine, or just call it recreational, or just call it sacrament. It's all of those and bigger. It's bigger than the sum of its parts. It's marijuana, it's hemp, it's tree of life, whatever you call it, it's bigger than the sum of its parts. And so to try to frame it as medical is to make it smaller than it is to try to deny its greater parts. No matter, for a long time, the hemp movement was dismissive of the marijuana movement.
Mm-hmm.
It's rope, not dope. We're not about legalizing pot at all. We're all about hemp. It's just hemp. Not the pot. That's bad.
See, and that division, those lines have really, they've divided us too much. We need to come together and say, look, this is a plant that has multitude of uses and has for centuries. We just need to take our heads out of the sand, and some of us are asses, and realize that this plant, it can be used for just about everything in our life. You can forget about, the daily stress by taking a puff after work. You can, relieve some of your pain, by taking a puff before you go out, in the day. You can use it to make paper and rope and food and oil
and for all the good, all the great things that we name here day after day, week after week on this show, the one that stops people, on the mainstream side is the recreational use, and more particularly the recreational use by teenagers or kids, right? That's the one that stops them. And for that, I can only, it's hard for me to get past, because I stop to think of all of the crazy shit I did on alcohol as a teenager, how if I had been smoking pot then instead of drinking, it would have been a much better situation for me. And it's hard to go there when you're having these discussions, because that's immediate. Oh, you want kids to smoke pot? I don't want kids to smoke pot. I don't want kids to have sex. I don't want kids to draw graffiti. There's things kids do, and
kids will be kids. That's the whole part of growing up is, having these opportunities to make bad decisions.
And if one of those things is to get fucked up, why do we make tobacco available at 18, alcohol available at 21, and marijuana available never? Of course, politically, you always have to talk about marijuana as being legal for 21 and up, and I realize the reality of that. But if it were wave a magic wand time, 16 would be my age for marijuana.
Yeah. Well, you could.
There, you got on record.
Basically, you could, make that age for just about everything. But, well, I would say alcohol, you should wait probably until you're 30.
Yeah.
Well, alcohol's bad.
I understand why we wait till 18 or 19 in some states for kids with tobacco, because, you got to be an adult to make these kind of adult decisions to hook yourself to an addiction that will kill you. So I'm cool with that. But given how non-toxic marijuana is, and given how stressful adolescence is, for God's sake, especially these days compared to when we were kids, and it's just gotten increasingly more stressful. I mean, imagine being a kid these days and having to deal with cyberbullying.
Yeah.
And how ubiquitous their lives are on the internet, and how that affects their heads. I mean, it was bad enough. It was bad enough when I was a kid, and we used to just spread a rumor about so-and-so.
I was pretty introverted when I was younger, but, nowadays it would be enough to force some people over an edge. But I think we need to take a little break real quick.
All right.
And when we come back, we'll talk some more.
Good time for it.
don't you give us a call, 971-533-7111. What do you got to say about anything? Come on, call us up. We're live.
Be right back.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisements because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Cast your eyes up to the skies. What is it to live and die?
And now, another episode of Cannabis Shakespearean Theatre. I'm your host, Leonard Pinth-Garnell III. Tonight we take a look at one of the finest works in the cannabis cinema, 1996's Half-Baked, starring David Chappelle, as interpreted by the Royal Shakespearean Cannabis Theatre Company. In this scene, Chappelle's character, Thurgood Marshall, has just admitted his addiction to cannabis to a room full of narcotics addicts. One addict, played in the film by Robert Saget, and interpreted here by the Royal Company's Sir Frederick Farrach, takes umbrage at the suggestion.
I find preposterous the notion that you, sir, may be addicted to cannabis. In times previous, I have undertaken lubricious endeavours, most revolting and unbecoming of a proper gentleman, in my servitude to the wicked powder of the coca leaf. Lo, that is an addiction whose chains would bind Hercules. At any point in history, could one identify a moment in your life so sullied by your ignominy as a cannabis slave? Methinks not! Boo this man!
For Cannabis Shakespearean Theatre, I'm Leonard Pinth-Garnell III.
Well, that left us kind of
hanging
high and dry. We got to work on those in and
Who's
out.
in charge of this thing anyway?
Oh, Lieber Mater, you silly thing.
it's not me, man. Oh, wow. I was just, scrolling through Huffington Post's marijuana section. By the way, you knew they had a marijuana section? You got to go to huffingtonpost.com/news/marijuana. So you can find their marijuana section. And there's they report in their business section on Washington State's marijuana logo nixed as too weed friendly. This was just published, 3 hours ago. It's just, it is the outline of the state of Washington with a white circle in the center and a green hemp leaf in the middle, and an ugly looking hemp leaf, bad looking.
Yeah, actually, that's an indica leaf, obviously, because it's so wide.
Yeah,
if
wide
it was hemp,
leafed.
it would be much thinner leaf.
Yeah. So big old indica leaf, not very well drawn one. They scrapped the logo, which would have appeared on packaging for all recreational cannabis products in response to pressure from critics who said the design glamorized marijuana culture.
No.
Now, the spokesperson for the Liquor Control Board, because in Washington State, the Liquor Control Board runs marijuana.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
The intention behind it, of course, was to readily identify marijuana products. When you're dealing with extracts or brownies, you need to make sure you identify them as containing cannabis. What better idea, says Russ, than to put a picture of a cannabis leaf on the label? That seems pretty damn obvious, doesn't it? Sound obvious to you?
I would tend to agree. Let's see here. Audience? Yes. Okay, so
here's the response. A local business journal wrote that the logo looked like a decal fit for a Cheech and Chong van. And Mark Kleiman, the pot czar in Washington State, said OPB, the image did seem to be closer to endorsement than probably wise. We received criticism that it was a little too promotional, a little too flashy, that it would be appearing in T-shirts, and that's why it was pulled.
It's already appearing on T-shirts.
Now, okay, so here, that's it. The Liquor Control Board might have thought it logical to put a drawing of a cannabis plant on cannabis products. That doesn't really work, says Holleran, who's a Samuel Holleran, a graphic designer in New York, told Huffington Post that it's such a counterculture symbol, it's impossible to present it as a non-biased government symbol. And he says, the ATF doesn't put an image of a can of beer and AK-47 and rolling papers on the licenses it grants. It's not always logical to show what you do as your graphic identity. All right. Well, here's my thing on that.
Okay, well, hey, make a Mr. Yuck sticker with a joint in the mouth. That'll be our label.
We want to. They're worried that people would use the outline of Washington State with a pot leaf in the center of it as a logo in T-shirts, that it would be promoting marijuana. So we need to come up with some other logo that readily identifies, I don't know, an edible, a brownie, something a kid might eat. What could we readily put on that would be easily identifiable, even to an illiterate person, to identify something as marijuana? I know, an ear of corn. Let's put an ear of corn on there. Or perhaps we put the number 420 on it in big number. No, we can't, because that's promotional.
Yeah, that's promotional.
All right, so maybe we just put cannabis product in black letters. Yeah, because everybody knows what cannabis is, right? That'll work, right?
No. Not everybody knows that cannabis and marijuana and hemp are the same base plant.
This pisses me off, because of all of the drugs out there that get censored in our media and are considered counterculture, only the marijuana leaf of all the drugs, only marijuana is the drug censored for its actual natural presentation, its actual source in nature.
Yeah, any representation.
Does that tell you how much the prohibition of marijuana and the hatred of marijuana is a hatred of nature? When they want to censor or illustrate cocaine, you don't see a coca plant. You never see a coca leaf. You see a line and a straw and a mirror and a razor blade. When you see heroin being castigated, you never see the actual poppy plant. Very rarely. You see the rubber tube and the spoon and the needle. Those are the images that are considered to be bad. The use of the drug. But with marijuana, it's its own leaf. It's that you actually don't even smoke, really. You're not even really smoking the leaf. That's what gets censored in our modern discourse, and that's what pisses me off. We've gotten so brainwashed under this anti-marijuana propaganda from our federal government for the past 80 years or so that we now censor nature itself.
It is frickin' ridiculous, and we're tired of it.
Well, I think they should have stuck with the logo. I think it made perfect sense. And what's wrong with promoting marijuana use? What's wrong with saying we're a state that has legal marijuana in it?
Not a goddamn thing.
You know the majority voted for it, right? Right? You know that like 55% of the people in that state thought it was a good idea to have legal marijuana. Jesus. All right, hey, that's all the time we got here for today's Toker Talk Radio. Coming up next, a great replay from the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Chris Barnes from 6 Feet Under. With the Unborn album party release, we did a replay for there. And then the replay of this show will come up if you missed Dr. Mitch. So for Brian the Red, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it,